Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Family EV Podcast. I am, as ever, John, your regular EV dad, and I am joined. That's the best thing about it. It's not just me anymore. He's back. My regular co-host, Joe. How you doing, Joe?
Doing pretty good. I'm glad we got those contract negotiations figured out.
Yes, absolutely. So this is running late, even for this week, and the reason for that is Joe had 2 hours of band practice yesterday. So if you want to find out what instrument he plays, then wait until the end of the podcast and we'll reveal that. In fact, you tell you what, hold on, we'll stop right now. And you can go into the comments and let us know what instrument you think he plays. Between you and Ian, I'll just mute him out of this for a few seconds. I'm going with squeeze box with an accordion. I mean, if that's not a face that says Midwest polka dancing band, I don't know what does. I swear to God, I have no idea. So if that is the answer, I'm going to be as surprised as you are. So it's been a couple of weeks since we did this. Anything weird and wonderful in your world or on the channel?
No, just looking forward to this little bit of travel we have upcoming soon.
Yeah, so the next episode, which I can't tell you when it's going to come out because there'll be some editing involved in a funeral. No one on this channel is going to die, I hope. Someone else already did. I'm speaking of that on Sunday. Will be I can't say when it will be, but it'll be a one-camera situation, possibly two if I'm being fancy. But yes, we're going to see each other on Friday and Saturday of this week. So we'll tell you more about that on the podcast because we know what we're going to do. We just don't know what it's going to look like or what else we're going to do. These are interesting times. So let me get into a bit of the what's been going on in the world, which has piqued my interest, and quick travel thing, because you may find this interesting. So I know John keeps harping on about his comedy career. If you don't like it, that's fine. British John now has badges. I had badges made with my logo, which is kind of cool. And so I'm using those for a bit of merch until my new t-shirts arrive. And the reason I mention this is that I will be back in Austin on Monday, the 13th of December for another episode of the Kill Tony show. So right now, if you're driving with me in the ID4, or in fact, any vehicle whatsoever, then you will hear me singing, practicing Jimi Hendrix all along the Watchtower, because nothing says diversity like a fat English white guy singing Jimi Hendrix. But it's a song I love, and it's about jokers and thieves and kind of plays to my roots as a hacker and comedian. So it is what it is. So that's happening on the 13th. The reason I mentioned that here on the EV channel is, Joe, I've got a Tesla. Just for 48 hours. Just 48 hours. So it turns out that how weird is this world? My marketing person, I don't know what to call this. She's not my assistant. She's my part-time marketing generalist, has a Model 3 long range, which she and her husband, who reconditions diesel engines for a living, of all the delightful ironies in Texas, has a Model 3, which she rents out on Turo. And so I have rented her vehicle when I head out there. So I'm going to drive from on Monday the 13th. I'll do it's about 160 miles to Austin in a bit of a hurry, because showtime's at 8 and I need to get there before that, and traffic out of Houston can be crazy, and there are no HOV lanes for electric cars. So if you live in the Houston area and have an interest in electric vehicles, and you want to be my excuse for using the HOV lanes, and you want to go to a show in Austin, tickets are going to be free. You're welcome to drink as much from the green room as you want. And you will have to provide your own accommodation because that's too weird to be sharing with a stranger. I haven't done that since college. Even Joe and I know each other, and we're having separate rooms next week. Although, by the way, my reservation came through, and my titanium status with Marriott finally did something useful for me this year. And so, I'm sorry, you get a regular king room, but Daddy got the penthouse. Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's gonna be, but I'm married, so I can't do anything too stupid in there, and my wife's not with me. But anyway, I'll just stumble around in the nude with my Oculus headset on. So if you want to go to the Kill Tony show in Austin on the 13th as my guest, then get in touch. You have to provide your own accommodation. I am driving back very early the next morning. It will not be a late one. You are welcome to go to the after party. You are welcome to get as screwed up as you want. But the Tesla is leaving at 6 a.m. sharp back to Houston because I have a board meeting. I have a 2.5 day board and investor meeting on the Monday and Tuesday. So I'm flying in on Sunday all day, having dinner with my team on Sunday, later Sunday night. Board meeting and investor meeting all day Monday, drive to Austin, perform at a comedy gig, and then drive back and do a whole second day, and then company drinks for Christmas and take my boss out for dinner and all the usual stuff. So yeah, that's things. Other EV news, bit of a road trip, which I didn't record because there was very little electricity use in it. But for Thanksgiving, we went to Phoenix. We actually drove down in the Pacifica plug-in hybrid. So obviously it was only an electric journey for the first 29 miles. And then it was $5 a gallon gasoline here in California. $4.55 was as good as it ever got at Costco. $3.50 odd in Arizona. But we stayed at the again, Marriott came through. I burned some points. Me and the wife had a 9th anniversary breakaway. Father-in-law stayed with his sister, so we got a bit of a break. And we stayed at the Camelback Inn, the JW Marriott Camelback Inn, which is just a beautiful property. And the EV connection is they do have 6 on-site Tesla destination chargers, which is not bad for a property of that size. Did I take my Tesla tap with me? No, because the car was going to be rented out on Turo, and so I had to leave it in there because I took the level 1 charger out of my car a long time ago and just have the level 2 Tesla charger, which needs the Tesla tap in order to be able to use. That's me, and that's on me. However, it didn't make that much difference because there was actually 110 sockets, proper outdoor specification chargers there. And so I did actually charge the car up each night because, you know, just like any other night, even when I'm on vacation, I tend to sleep for up to 8 hours. And so the car would actually charge up overnight. It takes 12 hours to charge that. 21, I can't remember what the capacity of the thing is, but anyway, it takes 12 hours to charge it from 0 off a level 1, but that's all it needs. That's all it needs to do. And it meant we did a little bit less damage to the planet than normal. But yes, that happened. And I also, and I'll come back to this at some point in the future. We still recovering from the trip. In fact, my sales director is asking me to do meetings at 6 a.m. this week for some ungodly reason. We stopped at Kettleman on the way back, and I saw the second Tesla charging system that they have set up there. So I have questions, but I'm not going to ask them right now because I need to do some Googling, and I'll probably tweet something on regular EV Dad. So stand by for that. All right. Should we get into the news, Joe? See what's been going on in the world?
We should. I was just going to throw my my Thanksgiving plans in. I had a big 5-mile journey to my parents, and since gas is over $4 a gallon here, I figured better take the ID4 for that one.
Only makes sense. only makes sense. I should just also point out that I have, and if you haven't, and again, I don't care about your politics. Well, I don't care about you, but I don't care about your politics. I did just get my my booster shot this afternoon. So that's why it's getting dark here, because I was out doing that. And so I can now say that the household is almost fully vaccinated with my, in fact, no, our household is fully vaccinated now. My father-in-law's had 3, my wife has had her 3, and my daughter has had her 2. She had her second shot yesterday. So we are doing our part to protect you. Not to protect us, but to protect you. We've made us, we've done everything that we can. And that's all we can hope for. All right, enough lecturing from me. I think that probably cost us like 3 subscribers, Joe. Joe, are you familiar with Lancia?
I know of them, and I know they're a good rally company. I don't know what else they do these days, though.
Let me tell you, Joe. I am a child of the 80s and 90s, and the World Rallycross was all about the Audi Quattros, Subaru Impreza WRXs, and the Lancias. And the Lancias were the pretty ones. It has to be said. Let me just put that to do not disturb mode. So I am absolutely thrilled. I know we're not sharing pictures anymore, but go Google it. This is your pornography homework. A Lancia Delta EV will be entered in the 2022 World Rallycross. This gives me the tingle, Joe. This gives me the, whoa, I'm having bad thoughts. You're Googling it already, aren't you?
Yeah. But unfortunately, as we know, all these great EVs are locked up in Europe for some unforeseen reason.
It's probably just an Emmy. Yeah, it's probably an Emmy. It's probably an Audi. It's probably a Audi. It's probably a V. It's probably an ID4 in drag anyway. But whatever. Oh, Lancias are amazing. I got to see them in the national rallies in the UK, going through Grisdale Forest, and oh, they were just them and the Audi Quatro. Oh, those were fun days. So anyway, go Google it. You'll it's filth. That's what it is. It's filth. You know, it wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't talk about Chevy Bolts. I'm thinking of buying one and taking up smoking, just so I can, just so I have a convenient combustible outside. They continue to explode. They continue to
Isn't it interesting that Congress is so concerned with making a $12,500 EV credit, and the only car that can qualify for this credit at this time cannot be sold to the public?
Is one that isn't being sold and is not being manufactured currently because they've shut down production for the rest of the year. Yeah. This is where, you know what, Joe, screw it. I'm fed up. Politics is life. Life is politics. Obviously, the Build Back Better plan still has to go through Congress, and there'll be amendments and changes to it during that process. But, and you should know this, and by listeners, both of you should know this as well. I'm upper middle class. No two ways about it. I make good money. I have stock options. I live in $1 million and odd value house here in California. Let's just be clear who I am. I am the embodiment of white privilege. Okay, hi, pleased to meet you. And just also bear in mind, I have no college degree. I was expelled from high school twice. Okay, but for the grace of God go I. And I've accomplished this through hard work. But I've also been a union member. Yeah. Back in 2000 and a long time ago, my friend. Back in 2002, after the dot-com boom, I left Computer Associates, as was then, and I was in the process of starting my own business, but it was taking a while and the economy wasn't brilliant. And so I got a job working for TriStar Cars out of Heathrow, who provided the chauffeur service for Virgin Atlantic. And the irony of this is, the dichotomy of this one, Joe, is that I went from being one of Virgin's top 50 customers by revenue. I used to commute to New York on an almost weekly basis in business class, in what we would call first class here in America, on the nice lie flat seats. There was 1 week when I took so many flights, I actually got a phone call from their operations director to check that I was okay. Because I had done I can't remember exactly what it was. I'd done something really crazy. I'd started off the week, I'd gone to South Africa, won't be doing that for a while. I'd gone to Africa, come back, flown to New York, done something there, and then finished the week. I then flew, not with Virgin, but with a local airline down to Florida, did something there, and I was flying back from, I don't know, Orlando or Tampa or somewhere into Gatwick. And when I landed, their operations director called me and asked if I was okay. And anyway, so crazy thing is, I went from doing that to them being one of their drivers while I built my own business, because I could work early, I could pay my rent, and I joined the GMB union, and they looked out for me because, you know, when you're running a business with a lot of working class people with working class problems, which, by the way, are called not having enough money, too many bills, and quite often access to alcohol and kids. And by kids, I mean kids get in the way of moving your own career forward. That's just the way the world is, I'm afraid. Being a member of the union was great, because if a manager was having a bad day and decided to give me a kicking, or a bad shift, or a crappy journey, or a weird pickup somewhere in the middle of Gloucester at 3 o'clock in the morning, they had my back. And unions did more for the middle class of the United States than anything else in a post-World War II environment. The reason we talk about, hey Joe, quick question for you. You're more American than I am. Your employer, you get benefits, you get healthcare through your employer?
I do.
Yeah, unions. Okay, because for two reasons. Because the taxes were much higher at that point, but benefits weren't taxed at the same rate, so it was more economical to do that. But it was then unions creating mandates as large, with large employers that made it the normal. Is it normal anywhere else in the world? No. But you can thank unions for that. I don't like this tax credit being linked to union jobs. It troubles me. And here's the reasons why. Right now, we're going through what we call the mass resignation. People are changing jobs more now than ever before. Like, seriously, like 2% of the population is changing jobs and demanding better working conditions, better hours, better money, better whatever. And hi, pleased to meet you. I'm one of them. I don't have union representation. Don't need it for what I do. It doesn't exist for what I do because I work in startups. But right now, people have got more choice and more power than they've had ever before, and they are using it. And it is causing disruption, especially in the supply chain issue is part of this. But linking the EV tax credit to cars being manufactured by a union workforce, I have to say, Joe, I find it's just a step too far, because it makes sense to me to encourage batteries to be made here. That really does. That part of it, I'm 100% on board with, because outside of Tesla, we don't, the other big manufacturers, big battery manufacturers haven't really set up shop here. That is a fairly long supply chain. Those batteries are coming from all over the world. And we're going to talk about Volkswagen in a few minutes. They're having their own supply chain issues, and that's affecting the ID4. But I'm just not sure that it actually is a good return on investment. As a taxpayer, paying for a job to be made in a union shop, I don't think that's the best use of that money. I think making EVs more affordable is better for people. Here we are with $5 gas. How much is gas where you are, Joe?
Just over 4, or it depends where you are, but around 4. Yeah.
EVs have a great role to play right now in helping a family's budget. But by the way, we're talking, this is where the money, I'm the one that pays a lot of tax. And I would rather that money go to, to the social good in the form of lowering the cost of EVs. And then the long-term benefits of that we already get, that Joe and I already get. Joe, are you expecting, I paid, my car had its first full service the other day. And it was, I included it in the package. I think it was $65 for 3 years, 60,000 miles. But the amount of work that needed doing on the car was minimal. They literally just checked the brakes and fluid levels. It was done in 40 minutes. I don't think we're expecting long-term massive service bills on these vehicles because there's not that many moving parts in them, other than the wheels, which is, But I think it's misguided social policy. I really do, and I say this for 2 reasons. Tesla employees aren't unionized, but they're wealthy. Tesla pays them enough money to make unionization not worth it financially. There are good reasons to be part of a union, protection of employees, and they've had any number of chemical spills and yada, yada, yada at the plant. But OSHA also has a role to play in that, and local counties, safety officers. I don't think moving to Texas is going to change that much anyway. And unions can only affect a corporation's culture so much. But they're wealthy. They're living around here. My dog sitter is now working for Tesla and is no longer my dog sitter because of it. Because she would lose money by being my dog sitter. I have lost out to Tesla. Thankfully, there are other people that are actually even nicer to my dogs. But anyway, and they come here and drive my ID4. So somehow I'm winning them back with a benefits package. Go figure it. If I go out of town, I leave the car and they're happy because they don't have to fill it with gas. And I recharge and I fill the car with my solar panels. So, it's it works. I know it was a rant and a half and I apologize. We should be doing this to make EVs more affordable. We should be using this money to make secondhand EVs affordable for people that are only making X $1,000s a year. I think that's a better use of the money than promoting union shops. Because like you said, Joe, only one qualifies, and that's the Chevy Bolt. The Ford Mustang's made in Mexico. And Tesla's not a union shop, and Volkswagen isn't a union. Well, Volkswagen is a union shop, but they're not making cars that would qualify at this point, I don't think, actually, I think their operations in America are not union. I think they're a
correct
hybrid system. So they have employee representation through the German system, but not full unionization. It's a tricky one.
Which that's my opinion. If I feel Volkswagen, if they're going to give a credit to someone, give a little extra credit to Volkswagen for building a factory here in the U.S. or to Kia, who said they're going to build EVs in Alabama.
Rivian is making them, in
Illinois,
right here. Sites, Lucid down, in Arizona, in South California. It's like just going a little bit too far. It's a snub. I don't know. It's a bit and thumb. Should we move off that rant?
Sounds good. Let's move on.
I I'll see if I can put a timestamp in so people can just isolate John's rant of the day. Just mentioned Rivian. So I thought this was interesting. Doug DeMuro rated the Rivian R1T truck with the highest ever pickup score. And it's an interesting video. It's worth watching if you've not seen it. I'm talking more to the, to our listener as opposed to you, Joe. But like you said, a very capable. Yeah, it's not a long bed truck. But most people don't use long beds, don't use the long bed of their truck. And it fulfills everything that most people do, want to do, and should do. And it does it at a decent price, given the level of luxury in the vehicle. I just thought, it comes back to what we said. I think it was on episode 11 or 12. This is the new normal. This is how vehicles should be. I had a guy in a Ford Focus RS at the lights today as I was going out to get my booster shot. And he's revving the engine and he's rocking it forward and he's I'm there in my boring fat person blue SUV. So I made sure the car was in sports mode and I floored it and then cut him up. And he was pissed. There's nothing he could do about it because I'd boxed him out using a VTA bus. This is normal. Electric outperforms. It outperforms. And I think, in fact, I'll come to it now. It's becoming normal in my household. Joe, get this. Mrs. Regular EV, who is not a regular EV person, she doesn't care. Seriously doesn't care. She didn't like the BMW i3 because it was weird. I believe the exact phrase she used to describe it was a stormtrooper's jockstrap. And she wasn't that far away on the design principles.
I'm glad we're past that trend in the world of EVs.
Yeah, I love the i3. If you'd given me a 250-mile i3, I'd bite your hand off for it. I really would. When I saw that the Lion battery people made a prototype, I wanted it. I really did. The problem is when you get to that size of range, you need faster charging than 50 kilowatt. But anyway, let's not open that particular Pandora's box. No, I love the i3. I love the little Fiat 500e. My wife despised it. Here's the crazy thing, Joe. Her car's not moved from its spot in 2.5 weeks. She's not fallen in love with the ID4, but it's there and it's convenient, and she doesn't have to put gas in it. She doesn't have to put gas in it because she's not a fan of the gas retail experience or the cost of it. Right now, we have a dog that's not very well, which forces her to drive. Okay, Google, how far from home to San Ramon?
I couldn't verify your voice, so I can't answer queries using your home address.
Oh, did I say yours?
Hey, Google, stop.
So my wife is having to drive 160 miles a day right now. 40 miles there, 40 miles back. It's a bit more than that because that's in a straight line. And she's having to do that twice a day for this dog's treatment. And you know what? She likes the EV. It's comfortable. It can use the HOV lane, which is critically important around here because she's going during rush hour both times, there and back. And she's she likes it. So we will see how this goes. My plan is, I don't have to worry about her listening to this. She won't. She's not that big a fan of me or the podcast, Joe. I think she likes you more than she likes me. But anyway, my plan is I'm going to see over the next couple of weeks if she is minded to sell the Volvo XC60 while the values are excessively high. Get rid of our Unicorn XC60. So our Unicorn XC60 had an engine issue. I bought it knowing that there was a recall. This is one of these weird things. I bought a car knowing there was a recall notice on it. And didn't say anything about it at the time because I knew that the recall notice it was like 10 months or whatever on it. And so when the car got to 50-odd thousand miles, it went in for a full engine and transmission replacement. They charged me for the bushings. I'm like, fair deal. But now that car's up to 90,000 miles. And being a European car of its vintage, it's just filling up with electrical gremlins. I'm hoping she'll let me sell it, and then you know, the ID4 might become her regular vehicle until the Ford F-150 arrives here and becomes my vehicle or whatever. Really. Because one thing about it is my wife is, we've never used her Volvo for a road trip. So we've owned it for 5 years because we've had it, well, a bit more than 5 years because we got it 6 months before the kiddo arrived. And she's never taken it further than Napa, Sacramento, or any further south than, well, I don't know, Paso Robles maybe, which all of those things are within the range of an ID4. So my next trick is to, tonight, I will not charge the vehicle up. I probably will have to. My plan is to get her to try fast charging tomorrow, and then we'll just ease her into I'm going to call it the normal glide scope. Are you going to do phone calls? I would just go to the fast charger and do your calls. Yeah, charge it. To be fair, I plugged in at 30% and I left it, I don't know. I did 24 kilowatts in 16 minutes today. Took it from 50 to 150 odd miles with a kid in the back while I was doing a phone call. Because why not use that free juice? So we will see. Talking about the ID4, they've had a few issues with them, Joe. It's been not issues is the wrong word, but they're a little behind on production and distribution.
Yeah, looks like they're only producing about 300 a week for the States, and there's about a 15,000 order backlog. I guess to anyone out there that is in line, I would advise search for your local dealers. It's very likely that somebody had canceled their order, and you might be able to get one today.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the announcement now. So they only produce these currently. So the ones we get come from Germany. We don't get the Chinese ones because remember they build them in 2 plants in China. So ours come from Wickau, and they've stopped production the week of the November 15th because of chip shortages. So this is expected to cost them a production loss of 5,000 MEB EVs. Now that's a mixture of ID4s and ID3s. And I'm not sure if that affects the Audis and the Seats and the Skodas, because I think they build them on separate lines, but I don't think this is, but anyway, however it's going out.
Something tells me the chips they do have, they'll make sure they make those into an Audi.
Well, yeah, exactly. Now so what they've said is that they're gonna, if your car's delayed, you will receive a 22-year model at the same price, because they do change their prices every year. They do go up a little bit. They're talking about a mild adjustment to it, although they've not been specific about that. What's interesting is they're also saying that one of the enhancements is going to be extended range. Now, there's 2 ways. Extend the range of an EV vehicle. Joe, don't know if you're familiar with this. You can do one of 2 things. You can either put a bigger battery in it. Now, given that Volkswagen are a massive manufacturer working to a standardized platform with a single large battery version for the US and Europe of 82 kilowatts, 77 kilowatts usable. It's probably not that. The other way you would do it, Joe, and I don't know if you're familiar with this concept, Joe, called a software update.
There's a third way, actually, that they could potentially they could play too. Porsche didn't make any changes to their software or battery in the Taycan, but they increased the range just because they had a buffer between what they had first listed as their range and what the EPA cycle was.
Okay, fair enough, Joe. But to release that extra capacity, and that has been rumored that they would make more, they would reduce the size of the buffer. To do that, Joe, you would still have to do a software update for the vehicle.
That's right, and they said they'll send that update in March of 2021.
Yeah. So bought my car in April. It's now December the 1st. Herr Dice said that they were issuing software updates every 12 weeks.
This has class action lawsuit written all over it.
It's an absolute friggin' joke at this point. It's just an absolute joke. And I write jokes for a living. I'm very good at it. I've got 3 shows in December. Being paid for one of them. Well, I'm being paid for all of them, but one of them's in kind, the other one in money, and the other one as a percentage of the gate. I actually have a door deal. So I'm good at this joke telling thing. This isn't funny anymore. I'm being quiet, Joe, because I'm thinking, is this the moment? Yeah, it is actually. So I'm done. I'm absolutely done. It is a safety issue for me, Joe. It is a safety issue in the fact that I have no control over the volume in the car. I cannot raise or lower it. It freezes out on me every single time. That is the number one issue for me, is that I do not have control of the volume of the stereo in the car, other than to turn it off or on. And frankly, that is unacceptable. It is not 1945.
So for me, the issue I've been running into is I'll turn on my car and turn on the heated seat and heated steering wheel to full blast, since it's 20 degrees in Chicagoland. And then I can't get back into the climate menu. And so now I've gotten in the habit of just not using the heated seat or heated steering wheel, knowing there's a good chance I won't be able to turn it off.
Yep.
And then I will burn.
Yeah. So, so when I put the announcement out on for this episode on Twitter, I will also be putting a notice about this episode on the ID4 owners group on Reddit and on the ID4 forum, VW ID forum, and I'm calling for a lawsuit against Volkswagen, a class action lawsuit, because I think it's a fantastically well-engineered vehicle, but I think it is lacking in some critical functionality. And I am done with being treated like a moron. They had the Europeans have had an update that fixed a good many of these issues. Where is he? ID4.
As you mentioned, Ford already got their update out that has improved their charging curve.
Multiple updates. That's on a charging curve, and that's a nice to have. That's a nice to have. Free
of charge too, may I add. Whereas there's been rumors that Volkswagen wants to charge for some of these things.
Yeah, they 4 months now, so that's another 12 weeks and change since they made this available in Europe. And I'm basing that off seeing the update from ID Furcon. I know others have had it as well, but he's just the easy one for me to find. Yeah, that's it. I'm sorry, I'm paying a lot of money for this vehicle, and I really do want the ID bus when it comes out. I really do, but I'm not willing to compromise the safety. It's just ridiculous. So
that's where I think on the ID bus, I'm going to be first in line for the Ford version of that product for that reason alone too. Because I know that, I know we talked about on previous podcast, Ford will be rebranding the ID bus as a transit connect of some sort kind of thing.
I'm not willing to go that far, but I'm, all the other manufacturers are ramping up their game. I'm done. Bit of a downer. So, and I'm just looking at the running list. I'm afraid all the rest of the news is a bit of a downer. So anyway, I will do that, and I'm calling for a class action lawsuit. I appreciate everything that Volkswagen did when I had my issue with the battery, which by the way never got fully resolved, and they went to great lengths to get somebody out, but then there's been no feedback, there's been no diagnosis, there's been nothing on it. The car's fine, which is fine. That's it's not misbehaved or done anything similar ever again. But yeah, this is just, it's gone on too far now, and it's a safety issue, and I'm spent a lot of money. My wife's driving it more. She has a kid in the car more often. It's been an issue for her. It's just so glitchy, getting Android Auto to work consistently. It's ridiculous. It's a safety issue. Lucid, and so this doesn't affect Lucid directly. Tom Malogi of the State of Charge did I don't know if you've seen these ones. He charges from 0 to 100% at fast charger, DC fast chargers, typically Electrify America, purely because they have the the most powerful units easily available. And the YouTube, so he actually had to turn comments off but block people because they used it to say that Lucid was cheating because it's 111 kilowatt battery, but it took 127, and the DC fast charging is meant to be lossless. Just this, I've ranted enough today, but thank God, people, it's physics. It's not religion. It's just physics. The Tesla vehicle reports how much energy has gone into it after losses. That's all. Whereas Electrify America reports on how much energy has passed through the damn thing before it gets to the battery. Bjorn studies this stuff in infinitesimal detail. Why don't these fanboys get a life? I'm a fanboy of all sorts of things, but it's not at this level of passion. I'm not ready to go to war. I'm not willing to die on a hill for many of these things. I would say principles are bloody expensive. Listen to the Inside EV podcast from the last episode if you wish, and Tom explains the situation. But this is just lunacy. It really is. We mentioned this before, and so this will be our happy note. And let me just bring up the numbers, because I normally won't do this, but I have the notes. Let's talk about the Ford update, because it is interesting. One of the issues with road tripping the Ford Marquis is that once you hit 80% state of charge, it would actually turn your DC fast charger into a level 2 charger. It would charge at, I think it was 9 kilowatts, yep. Which is a
slower than a Tesla destination charger.
It's a little on the slow side, just a little bit. I'm trying to find the numbers. Here we go.
I guess that's one way to not get charged idle fees.
Well, that's true. Now, what they've done, and so they've changed the charging curve. So the Ford charging curve is not regular. Actually, it would drop down to 11 to 12 kilowatts, so a little bit more than that. But it was a cliff. At 80%, it would drop. Now, what's interesting is it will now push at 80%. It will still push 45 kilowatts, and it will keep going it then drops down to, it keeps it at 40, just north of 40 kilowatts between 80 and 90 before dropping off. The other thing they've done is they've added preconditioning, which would be great, especially in the winter weather or those colder climates. So this is, the only downside to all of this, though, is that the update is not truly available OTA. You have to go to dealers to get it installed, which I'm sure that's just because they haven't actually updated the software across the entire subframe yet to allow full OTA updates. But you know, it's good to see them doing this. We'll see where they go with this, because you know, theirs is a time-based charging system and then a hard fixed charging curve. But they are talking about being more adaptive. Indeed, Lucid is saying the same thing. So we will see. Not been a great week for all the OEMs, but we will see. You know, Joe, I think when we started this, I said this would just be a quick and easy 30-40 minute because we'd see each other next week. But I have a sneaking suspicion I can't see the clock because I had to pause the video in the middle when something happened. But
well, judging by the missus calling me like 4 different times that dinner was warm, now it's then it went lukewarm, now it's cold, now it's I think in the garbage. So
you know, it's a good podcast when you're cited in divorce proceedings. I can hear a child screaming at the other end. I need to cook for mine and feed her. But Joe, can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'll see you in person. I'll meet you in person in 2 days' time. I will be bringing. I've got the GoPros, I've got the cameras, I got the microphone, I got a handful of regular EV Dad stickers, which we will not put on any Electrify America charging infrastructure whatsoever. But I'm not saying I won't stick them on every single YouTube influencer's MacBook Pro. And I'll see you in a couple of days, my friend.
Yep, I have the GoPro and I dug up some portable chargers. Those will be useful. And same, I look forward to meeting you.
And to everybody else, if you have been, thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Recommend this to your friends, unless, of course, they're Tesla fanboys or, you know, they're not going to like this anyway. Do them a favor. And we'll see you on the next one.